The world is full of places where you get more for your money, you're treated better, your stress level drops right when you land, and your health starts to improve too. Today I'm going to walk you through 10 countries I think you'll love. These aren't the same ones you see on most top 10 lists. The criteria I use to make this list for you is affordable cost of living, an easy visa or residency option, amazing food, safety and stability, and a welcoming culture, meaning you can find your expat community and make local friends. Hi, I'm Rebecca. On this channel, I talk about building a life and finances that can move with you. Subscribe and come along with me. Let's get into it. First, we'll start in the Americas. El Salvador is going to be one of the most unexpected countries on this list for some of you. A few years ago, nobody would have put it on an expat top 10 list. Today, it's a great option, and the transformation is huge. El Salvador went from being the most dangerous country in the world to being the safest in the Western Hemisphere. El Salvador uses the US dollar, which makes it easy for spending, and there's no currency conversion to worry about. It also made history as the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, which has drawn a bunch of expats, remote workers, and entrepreneurs, especially in the surf town of El Zonte. If financial sovereignty is part of why you're thinking about moving in the first place, El Salvador has a community waiting for you. And it's not just about the Bitcoin either. The Pacific coastline is beautiful. El Tunco and other surfing towns have a laid-back beach town feel, and the cost of living is very low. The capital, San Salvador, has more infrastructure than you would expect. It has modern shopping centers and malls and many international brands. There are top quality private hospitals, and if you work online, there is reliable fiber internet in many areas. Recently, there's been new co-working spaces, cafes, and restaurants popping up all over. In recent years, there's also been a lot of infrastructure upgrades, especially in areas that have a lot of tourism and expats. The reality today is a country that is much safer than it was even just 5 years ago, with a lot of amazing growth. The food is an added bonus. Pupusas are the national dish, thick corn tortillas stuffed with cheese, beans, or meat, and it's made fresh right in front of you. They're eaten at every meal and cost almost nothing. El Salvador has 3 main paths for expats. The rentista visa is for anyone with at least $1,500 a month in passive income, and that includes your dividends, rental income, royalties, that kind of thing. The pensionado visa is for retirees with at least $1,100 a month from a pension and Social Security counts. You can bring your spouse and family under the same application. And as of April of 2025, there's now a digital nomad visa for remote workers earning income from outside of El Salvador. It's valid for 12 months and it's renewable. All 3 paths require substantial physical presence. Plan on around 2 to 3 years to get permanent residency and about 5 years of legal residency in order to apply for citizenship. Colombia is another country on my list that has completely changed in the last 15 years. Medellín in particular has become one of the most talked about expat destinations. The climate here is called eternal spring because the temperature stays around 72 degrees all year. The food here is really good and inexpensive. Street food, arepas, and empanadas are $1 or $2, and a great cup of famous Colombian coffee is less than $1. And you can get fresh fruit like papayas, passion fruit, mangoes all year, and they are so cheap, it's almost ridiculous. Colombia has 3 main paths that most people look at. Their digital nomad visa is for remote workers earning money from outside of the country. It's valid for up to 2 years, and it's pretty straightforward to get. The visa de pensionado is for retirees with a qualifying pension, and again, your Social Security counts. The income requirement usually is somewhere around $1,000 to $1,200 a month. And if you've got passive income like dividends, rentals, investments, the rentista visa will cover you. One thing most people miss is that the digital nomad visa is a visitor visa, so your time on it does not count towards getting permanent residency. If you're thinking long term, you're going to want to switch into one of the visas like pensionado or rentista, which can start the clock towards getting residency for you. And you don't have to rush into anything. Most Western passport holders can stay for 90 days visa free, and then you can extend that for up to 180 days. So you can spend a decent amount of time here before you have to make a decision. Panama is next. Panama is a little underrated compared to its neighbors, and I think that's why it's worth mentioning here. It uses the US dollar, which makes budgeting simple, and it removes currency conversion risk entirely. If you're in Panama City, the infrastructure is solid. You'll find fast internet, good hospitals. Panama's pensionado visa is one of the most generous out there. If you're only bringing in about $1,000 a month in pension income and Social Security counts, you can qualify for it. And it actually comes with real perks: flights, restaurants, medical services, entertainment, even some utilities can get a discount with this visa. It's one of the few programs in the world where you get perks built in, and they're widely used. Panama's overall cost of living is about 36% lower than in the US, and housing costs are about 50% cheaper depending where you look. Panama City is more expensive than the other areas. A lot of rentals in Panama come furnished, which is a huge advantage when you first get here. The food here is a big win. Fresh ceviche is everywhere. A meal at a little local spot runs you from about $4 to $8, and if you want variety, Panama City has a really strong international food scene. Panama City gives you the skyline, great seafood, and the canal. Or you can go in the opposite direction and move to Boquete, which is cooler, greener, and it's one of the easiest places to make friends in Central America. And if you want something more laid back and tropical, go to Bocas del Toro. You'll get that Caribbean island lifestyle. All right, let's move on to Europe. Albania is one of the places that expats thrive in and love. The Albanian Riviera is that stretch of coastline in the south is stunning. It has crystal clear water, there's dramatic cliffs, hilltop villages, and almost none of the crowds of tourists that you're going to find in Croatia or Greece. The Albania cost of living is on average 46% lower than the US, while rent is about 80% lower. You can live comfortably on €1,000 a month. In the capital, Tirana, a one-bedroom apartment in the city center will cost you under €600 a month, with suburban options available for even less. And the coastal towns are cheaper outside of summer, and long-term lease discounts are common. Plus, negotiating is part of the culture here. The food in Albania is worth talking about. Espresso runs about 70 cents, and a full meal at a nice restaurant costs about €15 per person. Albanian food is fresh, simple, and very seasonal. Fruits and vegetables are locally grown and have a lot more flavor than what you'd find in the typical US grocery store, especially when it's something in season. Open air markets and small produce shops are very common, so it's really easy to buy fresh food regularly without spending a lot of money. Most Western passport holders can stay visa-free on arrival for up to a year. And since Albania is not a Schengen country, it means your time there doesn't eat up your 90-day clock in the EU. Right now, it's easy to stay for a full year, and then you can extend it with a residence permit. From there, you're looking at about 5 years of legal residency to get permanent residency, and about 7 years to get citizenship. For citizenship, you will need basic Albanian language competency and some proof that you've integrated into the country. Albania is one of the fastest rising expat spots in Europe right now, but there's still a window to get in before it gets crowded and those regulations change. You've probably seen photos of the Bay of Kotor and assumed they were edited. They're not. The Bay of Kotor is ringed by mountains that drop straight into the water. There are medieval towns that have been there since the 9th century. It looks like a painting. The cost of living in Montenegro is about 42% lower than the US, and rent is 65% lower. A one-bedroom apartment in the city center of the capital runs only about €500. Coastal areas like Kotor and Budva do get pricier in summer, but in the winter, your rents can drop 50 to 70%, which is worth knowing if you want to spend that part of the year there. The food is great. You can get a hearty meal from 7 to 12 euros. And for two people at a fancier spot, expect 50 to 60 euros. And that includes drinks and dessert. There's plenty of fresh seafood and local wines that are very good and very affordable. Residency here is fairly simple. A lot of people just get a 1-year permit by opening a small company and then renewing it each year. If you stay consistent, it's about 5 years to permanent residency. Citizenship, however, takes a little longer. It's closer to 10 years. So this is more of a lifestyle base than a quick passport. Montenegro uses the euro and it's aiming to join the EU by 2028, meaning its value as a residency destination will increase over time. The expat community in Kotor Bay is quite large. If you want beauty, affordability, and that slower pace of life in Europe without the crowds of Italy or the prices of France, Montenegro deserves your attention. Romania is next. It is one of the most overlooked countries on most European top 10 lists, and that's why I'd like it. It's a full EU member, which matters for residency and travel rights, but it doesn't carry the price tag of Western Europe. In Bucharest, most expats spend about 800 to 1,500 euros a month all in. A one-bedroom in central Bucharest runs 550 to 750, and you'll find cheaper options in the smaller cities. Some older buildings are dated, so many people go for newly built apartments, which are still affordable by Western standards. If you want a little bit more of an upgrade, a little more comfort, modern apartment, eating out, entertainment, you're looking at roughly 1,200 to 1,600 euros a month. Luxury is closer to 3,500 to 5,000, depending how far you take it. The best thing about Romanian cuisine, particularly in Bucharest, are the traditional slow-cooked dishes, but there's also a modern dining scene that blends Balkan, Turkish, and French influences. This is a top food destination. Bucharest is actually one of the strongest setups in Europe for tech and internet. Speeds are fast, fiber is everywhere, and it's reliable enough that you don't ever think about it. The city itself has a real tech presence with a lot of international companies. Day-to-day life is pretty good. There are great services, healthcare, and everything just works. But expect traffic. It is rated the 3rd worst traffic in the world. For Romania, the path to citizenship is structured and fairly predictable, but it's not meant for anyone in a rush. You start with a temporary residence permit through starting a business or by showing remote income. It's issued for 1 year and then renewable. After 5 years of continuous legal residence, you can apply for permanent residency. There, citizenship usually comes after about 8 years total legal residency. You'll need to show basic Romanian language ability, a stable income, and integration into the country. So the bottom line, it's a clear step-by-step path. It's easy to get if you actually live there, but it's for those living in Romania long term. It's not a quick passport. If you want an EU passport though, Romania stands out. All right, let's move on to Asia. Vietnam has been on expats' radar for years. The country is geographically varied. You have Hanoi in the north, Da Nang and the ancient town of Hoi An in the central coast, Ho Chi Minh City in the south, and then also the cooler highland town of Da Lat, which is becoming more and more popular with remote workers who want to be in Vietnam, but without the extreme heat. Housing costs in Vietnam are 30 to 50% lower than in Thailand. In the more popular expat areas in Ho Chi Minh City, a modern one-bedroom apartment will cost you 500 to 600 a month. In Da Nang and the other coastal cities, it's even more affordable. Street food costs less than $2 and a sit-down restaurant is from 3 to 5. Most expats live very well with a modern apartment, eating out at every meal, scooter rental, and weekend travel for between $1,000 and $1,500 a month. The food is phenomenal, and every city you visit has a different type of cuisine. The essentials across the country include pho and banh mi, which is the Vietnamese sandwich that will ruin all other sandwiches for you. In Da Nang and Hoi An specifically, fresh seafood is cheap and eaten daily. Visas have gotten more flexible. There's now a 90-day e-visa available for most nationalities. Longer-term residency is manageable with the right local help. Da Nang is battling against Chiang Mai to become the region's top spot for remote workers and business startups. The expat community is huge, and Vietnamese people, to say they're friendly is an understatement. Next up is Thailand. This is a classic for a reason. It has been a favorite of expats and long-term travelers for decades, which means the infrastructure is dialed in. It has great hospitals, reliable internet, a huge range of places you can stay, and a food culture that will blow your mind at every price point. Every place in Thailand has a different feel to it. Chiang Mai is more relaxed, digital nomad vibe with modern apartments. Bangkok is the opposite, pure chaos, but it's still very livable. What really stands out in Thailand is the setup. Most condos come with elevators, security, gyms, pools, and too many amenities to list. Daily life feels comfortable, and many modern and luxury condos in Bangkok have shopping malls attached to them. The food here is extraordinary. Bangkok street food rarely costs more than $2, with dishes like pad thai, som tam, and khao man gai available on basically every corner. The variety is amazing, from southern Thai curries to the full range of international cuisines you can get in Bangkok and Chiang Mai. Thailand's long-term residency options have expanded. They now include a long-term resident visa that's easy as long as you meet the income or asset thresholds. The Thai retirement visa has been popular for years. Thailand will amaze you. Even in the chaos of Bangkok, you're going to feel this calm feeling that's hard to describe until you have been here. Bali is almost a category of its own. It's an island inside a country of over 17,000 islands, and it has built one of the most remarkable expat ecosystems on the planet. Canggu and Ubud in particular have become hubs for remote workers, creative people, and just anyone who's done with the pace of life in Western countries. In Bali and other expat areas of Indonesia, your monthly expenses start at around $600 with a comfortable lifestyle running you from 800 to 1200 USD. One of the best things about Bali specifically is that for what you would pay in other countries for a very basic apartment, you can actually rent a villa here with your own private pool and garden. Local Indonesian food is delicious. You have nasi goreng, satay grilled over charcoal, and fresh tropical fruit is everywhere. It's inexpensive and it's available on every corner. The international food scene near the popular expat areas and the different types of cuisines available in Jakarta is impressive. In Indonesia, there are two main long stay options worth mentioning. The Indonesia Second Home Visa allows you a 5 or 10-year stay, but it's aimed at higher net worth individuals. You need to show significant funds of 130,000 plus US dollars deposited into an Indonesian account or qualifying assets. It's more of a residency by wealth option than a typical expat visa. While there's a lot of hype around an official digital nomad visa, the reality is a bit more complicated. Most remote workers in Bali actually skip the official residency because it requires a $60,000 annual salary and a lot of paperwork. Instead, most people stick to a shorter term visa, renewing every few months or doing border runs. It's definitely doable, but the long-term setup isn't quite as straightforward as it sounds on paper. And you should learn the language. Even a little bit of Bahasa Indonesia goes a long way towards being welcomed into the culture instead of just being a tourist. It's also one of the easier languages in the world to learn. Okay, the last country is in Africa. Morocco is the one I tell people to check out first if Africa isn't on their radar yet. It's easy to get to. It's just a short ferry ride from Spain, but it feels like a completely different world. There's ancient Medinas, mountains, the Sahara Desert, and the Atlantic coast all in one place. It's a lot. Morocco is affordable, but that's not why people love it. It's about being somewhere that is full of life and color. You're walking through this ancient town one minute, and then you're on a rooftop terrace looking over the city. There's texture everywhere. Tiles, colors, markets, food, mountains in the distance, and the ocean is not far away. And the housing is part of that experience. The classic Riyadh isn't just a place to live, it's an atmosphere. Hidden behind simple doors, once you step inside, there's this calm courtyard, maybe a fountain, some citrus trees, light pouring in from above, and a rooftop where you can just sit at night and take it all in. The food deserves an entire video of its own. They have these tagines, these slow-cooked stews of lamb or chicken with lemon, olives, and spices, are eaten several times a week by most Moroccans and cost almost nothing to make or order at a restaurant. Couscous on Fridays is a cultural institution, and the mint tea ritual, it's poured from a height to create foam, is how you slow down and spend time with people here. Residency in Morocco is relatively straightforward if you have stable income and basic documentation. Most expats apply for a renewable residence card after entering on a long-term visa or converting their status locally, typically by showing proof of income or savings, a lease for your home, a Moroccan bank account, and a clean criminal record. The process is bureaucratic, but it's easier in larger cities where the officials are used to handling these kinds of foreign applications all the time. As for citizenship, there is a legal path, but it's not really pursued very often. Naturalization generally requires long-term residency of 5 years, integration, and government approval, and it's granted selectively. Most expats treat Morocco as a long-term base rather than somewhere they expect to obtain a passport. Healthcare in Morocco is generally solid for everyday needs, especially if you stay within the private system. In larger cities like Casablanca, Marrakesh, and Rabat, you'll find modern clinics with well-trained doctors, many with European backgrounds, and relatively short wait times. French is commonly used in medical settings, but some clinics do offer English, which makes things easier to navigate. That said, quality can vary outside of the main cities. So for more complex or specialized treatment, a lot of expats choose to go to France or Spain. For most day-to-day healthcare, though, Morocco is reliable. So that's the list. 10 countries across 4 continents. All of them are affordable. All of them are places where you can build a very nice life. Any one of these could change your life in a very good way. And the best part is you don't have to choose just one. You could easily choose 4 and rotate every 90 days. If you want to do a deeper dive into any of these countries, the costs, visas, and what day-to-day life actually looks like there, tell me in the comments and I'll make it for you. I post 2 new videos a week, so subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Ciao for now.